All right, all right. What is going on? How y'all doing today? It is January 19th. Man, we are more than halfway through the first month of 2022 already, boy. This year has started off quickly. Or I don't know if that's me getting old or is that just time moving quicker. But either way, man, it's a beautiful Wednesday out there. Not super cold, but definitely not hot at all. And just busting in on y'all brunch time, man, with your Uncle Steve here in the Atlanta Bird Gang and also in Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube. Check this out. What's going on, Chris? Chris for joining us early on today. And I just wanted to stop in today and chat it back up a little bit. I know we had a nice week of football games, whether it be the AFC or the NFC side. And within the group in Facebook, the Atlanta Bird Gang, 34,000 strong, just been what I like to call the angst of the group. And for those of you who probably don't, you know, go that deep, once your season is over with, like the Atlanta Falcons, and unfortunately we've had the same ending for 4 years in a row, it's a natural thing for us all to look back and see, what went wrong and whose fault is it, and who are the first three people we draft. And that's natural. So I understand that. But I did want to talk about each one of those things little by little, just to see what a lot of you think. Hey, what's up, Jonathan? Checking here. Jonathan says some entertainment while I'm home. Say, oh no, my brother. Yeah, last week, Jonathan. Well, not last week. Basically, since it's over now, and I didn't mention it, and that's why I didn't go online a lot. Right after Christmas, whole family, man, like wiped out. Just not crazy sick, but at the same time, just a lot of just the sniffles, the coughs, and things like that. My son probably went through it the worst, but all of us at one point had sniffles going on and things of that nature. I know different people are affected differently, so I don't ever want to belittle what somebody else is going through. Hopefully everybody legs it out and do what they need to do, but just stay safe, man. This thing is going to be around, seems like, for at least a couple more weeks, this version of it. So life is going to go on, man. We just got to keep rolling, man, and keep doing what we do. So y'all stay safe out there, and especially you, Jonathan, just keep yourself safe. Brother Christian has joined us. Say, what's going on? How you doing, brother? Good to see you out there in the land and see what's going on. And Christopher just said, just found out that I have today, man. Oh man, it again, not a lot we can do. Just kind of tough it out. But it is what it is, folks. It is what it is. Stay safe. So I'm going to start with the topic everybody, and it's funny because I've noticed when the season is over with, and all of us do our review, whether it's admins, whether it's um, people who heavily post, we all have our own little year in review and grading system. And I did the grading system with you all last week. And I think it's apparent that there are a lot of thoughts on what we should do going forward, whether there should be emphasis on defense in the draft, emphasis on offense, emphasis on specifically the lines, edge rusher, uh, cornerback, quarterback, just what we should do going forward. And this is the first year of the Arthur Smith, Terry Fontenot regime. And I gave some reviews the other week, last week, and I'm going to stick to those. With Terry Fontenot, as far as he's concerned, I'm just still incomplete about it. Right now, it's hard. If you think about what he inherited on this team, he inherited an inflated salary cap. He, unbeknownst to him, probably when he got the job day one, he inherited an embattled wide receiver who's now in Tennessee. He inherited what would be another receiver that's whatever he's going through. He's not on the field playing, so that's an organizational issue. And he also had to give Arthur Smith quite a few either untested, and I say untested, but I should say not as experienced guys that you had to throw out there and learn on the fly, i.e., Mayfield, and try to see if they're ready to play in the NFL. Our backup quarterback is an undrafted free agent. Salary cap problems all over the board. You have a quarterback that's scheduled to take up $48 million on the salary cap this upcoming season. We have a defensive tackle who's probably in line for an extension / restructuring. I don't know how they're going to do that, but we have a lot of things on the plate. And I know people are going to get upset when I say this, but we're not going to be able to solve every single problem in 1 year, folks. That's why I put somebody on the post earlier today was giving the organization, the current regime, an F for their efforts this year. And I had to pause because it's really an incomplete grade for Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. Think about this roster that ended up lining up for week 18 against New Orleans. Think about that roster. In camp, when camp started that day, and yes, Julio was still on the roster the day before, about 2 days into camp, if you remember, he didn't show up because they were working on the trade. When you think about going into camp, you had your incumbent quarterback, you had Julio Jones, you had Calvin Ridley, you had Kyle Pitts, you had Mike Davis, and you had what you thought was going to be an improving offensive line plugging in Jalen Mayfield in the left guard. Now, on paper, you would have thought that, well, maybe that might be a turn in another direction. Well, of course, days later, you saw Julio ended up getting out, and we know what happened with Calvin. Excuse me. Some folks thought Mike Davis would end up being an upgrade from Todd Gurley, and I got news for you, folks. Todd Gurley was more productive last year as a whole. Offensive line, safe to say, probably did not improve. Defensive line still cannot get pressure on the quarterback. We load all of these accolades on Grady Jarrett, and he deserves it. He's an above average defensive lineman, but he's not Aaron Donald. So it's hard to give a fair judgment about Grady's performance. There are a lot of people that dog out Deion Jones this year, and Deion did not have the best of years. So I still think Deion was not horrible. I just don't think he was good as maybe 2 years prior. Foye Oluokun, who led the league in tackles, and you can look at that in one of two ways. I think he had a good year, but he's a free agent. We have to figure that out. And then you had A.J. Terrell, who ends up second team All-Pro. Congratulations to him. And pretty much the rest of the secondary is very green or just not very talented. So the fact that Arthur Smith squeezed 7 wins out of this team, folks, I'm trying to tell you, that's a miracle. And y'all can say what you want to say, but I'm almost kind of imagining if he actually had talent in place, what would we do? And will we see any glimpses of good talent coming in here? That has yet to be seen. It's still January 19th, so we got a long way to go for that. We'll see. Robert, what's going on? Said, what is going on, Atlanta Birdgang family? Do you think Terry should be put to the fire if this draft picks don't work out? Kyle Pitts is the only pick that looks good. What's going on, Robert? Robert, I have made no secret that I never liked the pick of Kyle Pitts. Not the person, not the player he is now. He's a Falcon now, so we're going to stay on that board. And the reason why I never thought of Kyle Pitts as the pick for us at number 4, for those who go to the best player available theory, is because last year, when you start thinking about this team and areas we probably needed, I know everyone is on we should have picked Michael Parsons. Nobody knew Michael Parsons was going to be this good. But a lot of people say we should have gone that. Of course, there are a lot of people that thought we should have gone quarterback to try to at least set up our future for the team. I was one of those. Still am. And Kyle Pitts has done nothing but has probably solidified himself on the all-rookie team. And I think he's a Pro Bowler, if I'm not mistaken. But what has that really done for the team? What has that move really done for the future of the Atlanta Falcons? It's not a disrespect to Kyle Pitts and his talents, but it does make you scratch your head to say, what was the end game when you draft a tight end at number 4? Now, if your team, say hypothetically, can't say Buffalo because Knox is kind of balling out, Green Bay, and I know they have the tight end, but he's not all world. If you're a team like Green Bay and you had a trade where you happen to luck up and be at the number 4 position, and you had running backs in place, wide receivers in place, Aaron Rodgers there, a pretty solid defense and things of that nature, and you needed a tight end, then bam, that's your spot. That's a specific spot. But if somebody were to come back, and I looked at this roster going into last year and I said, what player do I need on this team? And somebody said, well, we got to number 4, and so far the highest rated player is a tight end. I don't care if it was Kyle Pitts or not. Yeah, I got to pass. Because tight end, teams don't build their teams around tight ends. No, I went off on a long diatribe on that. So let me go to the next part. Kristen says, me and my dad was just having this conversation, Steve. A lot of these new coaches and GMs know what they had just inherited. It's going to take at least 2 to 3 years to get their version together. Terry and Arthur are literally trying to figure out what to do with DQ leftovers. And Christian, it's very important. I know a lot of people like to go to the Wayback Machine and start talking about what this organization did before. When you think about what we did when Matt Ryan first came in, we went and got it. We had one difference. We had salary cap room with even and remember we were still suffering a little bit because Mike Vick had kind of hamstrung us a little, but we weren't completely like we are now, where we had to overhaul Matt Ryan's contract in order to get under the cap for 2021. But in 2008, we had an opportunity. We went out and got Michael Turner, brought him in. I'm trying to think of a little bit of the guys. Is that Malloy? Who's the guy we got in the secondary? And my mind is hitting a blank right now. We had 2 draft picks. We were able to get Matt. We were able to get Sam Baker. We already had a couple of guys on the offensive line that were in place. Keith Brooking was old, but he was still a veteran in the middle of the field. So you still had a little semblance of defense back there. So you were able to turn things around really quick from the year before when the whole tumultuous 2007 went on, the year Vic unfortunately got in trouble. This is a different day and a different situation. This particular team and the situation we're in, it's going to take more than just a couple of Hail Marys and sprinkles of oil on your head to get this thing turned around. It's going to take some smart maneuvering. It's going to take some moxie with your general manager and some moves that we're probably not going to like. But I'm pretty sure he realizes, yeah, we got a long way to go, folks. So I hope people are patient. The fan in me is never patient. The fan in me wants to win now, wants to win right away, don't want to hear any excuses. But for the most part, you all know it's gonna take time. Robert said exactly, I wanted Fields. And again, going back to the big Fields versus Matt thing of the year, it still didn't have anything to do with Matt. I would not have had a problem if we drafted Fields and Matt was still starting last year. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. But at least I know I had a talented young cat that was coming behind him who would have had to learn instead of getting thrown into the fire and looking like he's green and doesn't know what he's doing. Justin Fields is going to be fine with somebody. I don't know who, but he's going to be fine. But I think if we had gone that way, we would have been better. Arlen says, I kind of wrap my head around Matt will be here for the next 2 years. So let's build from the inside out, draft offensive line and defensive tackle. Then in 2023, when we draft quarterback, the rookies will have some kind of foundation. And all that makes sense, Arlen. But has the team not drafted offensive linemen? Have we not drafted Mayfield the year before that? I say the year before that, but 2 years before that, Lindstrom, McGarry. I'm not trying to say it didn't work out. I'm not trying to say it worked out, but I'm saying it's not like we're not trying. We brought in the 2 scrubs from the Jets. So it's not like they aren't trying. Defensive end, they thought they solved that problem by paying money to Fowler. Unfortunately, bad decision. Defensive tackle, Marlon Davidson, they brought him in. Yes, it's early in the game, but boy, oh boy, still seemed like we got to see what that is. Has one signature play against Tom Brady this year, but other than that, been pretty solid. So we got a long way to go. Long way to go as far as that's concerned. But I hear what you're saying as far as it looks like Matt will be here for the next couple of years. I still have the feeling one way or another, I think 2022 will probably be Matt's last year. I think if the and I'll put it this way, what'll really put the death nail in is if we don't have a winning season this year and Matt is still under center. If some reason the moves we make in 2022 happen to provide either a winning / playoff season for the Atlanta Falcons, then I'll be willing to say, okay, possibly Matt will be here in 2023. I am resigned to think Matt is going to be here this year, barring some off the wall. I know that all the little websites and even ESPN have proposed things what they're going to do, but some of that stuff are long shots, and it would really, a couple of those moves that they put up there are really going to put us in bad shape as far as the salary cap is concerned. Robert says, speaking like John Harris, we need to start shopping for talent in the SEC. The Alabama and UGA game, I saw some players that would look good in red and black. And this is true. I've always agreed with him from that sense. When you have the best teams / players and competition in college, a lot of the 4- and 5-star high school players migrate down to the SEC. And even teams that don't succeed as much, well, this year Ole Miss was good, but Mississippi State, Arkansas was good this year too. But second tier teams, the Arkansas, the Auburns, the even Florida, the talent is there. So like John always talks about, why not go in your backyard and get some of that talent? Now, I only caution a little bit though, Robert. Just don't think just because they got a big A on their helmet that they're going to automatically plug in. Or just because they have an SEC brand on their helmet that they're going to plug in. I'm looking at Marlon Davidson right now, and I'm saying to myself, I remember everybody was talking about it. He played next to Big Brown, who ended up going early in the draft. And there was, Marlon was a beast too. He was right next to him. And I just haven't seen it yet. I'm not trying to say he won't develop into that, but we've had 2 years and I haven't seen glimpses of it. Again, only the little pick 6 thing. So yeah, that I wouldn't mind doing some shopping in the SEC, but I don't want to see mock drafts with all Georgia players and all Alabama players. You might get your feelings hurt. Yeah. Robert said we will not see real change until we change the quarterback position. Where are the lies? where are the lies when you say that? To me, it's not a coincidence. I know some people. I hear the passionate, not even Falcon fans. I hear the passionate Matt Ryan's fans, and I understand when you've had a relationship / bond with somebody for a long time, whether he was force fed to you or not, you're going to have some type of attachment. Shoot, I like Matt. But I've also realized over the last, especially the last 4 years, I don't care what your stats look like. Something is not responding. The team is not responding like they were a few years ago. A few years ago, Matt had everybody rallied behind him and all that. It's not like that anymore. I'm sorry. And look, you're talking to somebody who literally just told you Matt's going to probably be here this year. I'm not going to sit here and try to, tear up my stuff and act like the world is over if Matt comes back on this team. I'm like, cool, but we need to get him some help, and Matt has to step his game up. I'm gonna mention something about the playoffs in a little bit concerning that, but All it says, LOL, I should have said good O-lineman. No, you're right. I know exactly what you were talking about. I guess I want to say that it's not like the last regime didn't realize where our problem was. That 1 year, and I want to say that was 2000. See, Quinn left in 20, so it was 2019, right? When we got Lindstrom, McGarry, then brought in the Jets guys, right? Was that 2018? I mean 2019. I think it was. So it's not like they don't see the problem. Maybe the scouts were getting the wrong people. Lindstrom is solid, but yeah, maybe we just hopefully this new team that Terry has right now will be able to identify better talent at those positions. And look, get ready for a lot of 1 year, $2 million, 1 year, $3 million, 1 year, $2 million contracts this year. Which is why I know a lot of, and I've listened to Tidy and I listened to Marcus and those guys who do a great job. I've listened to them say the same thing. I'd say, I don't think we can afford. I don't think we can afford Cordero Patterson. I don't think we can afford Foye Oluokun. So we might end up shopping at Dollar Tree one more time. Yeah. Arlen says, I don't know why we have so many problems picking quality offensive linemen. It is the problem is spotlighted on us because we are here. There aren't a lot of teams. If you look at that Philadelphia game against Tampa Bay, you see how awful that offensive line played against Tampa Bay. Do you see how Arizona played against the Rams? And Kyler Murray, Lord, and whew, he'll learn, but just awful. We aren't the team. We aren't the only team in the NFL that have offensive line problems. It looks like it because every single time we play, Matt Ryan is on his back, or the running game isn't getting started. Even though we ran the ball a little bit better in the last quarter of the season than we had earlier in the year. Something got figured out in the run game. I'm not sure what it was, but they definitely start run blocking a lot better. What's up, this RJ? What's going on, RJ? How you doing, brother? Good to see you joining us on YouTube on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Say, what receivers and D linemen would you like to see us go after in draft and free agency? Woo. That's a loaded question. The ones I would want to see are the ones that aren't going to be available to us. I've talked at length about Hutchinson from Michigan. But as far as wide receivers are concerned, I truly think you can get some talent free agent wise. I think you can probably get free agent talent right now. I just think we picked the wrong person. I think we picked the wrong person when we start talking about running backs. I think Mike Davis was just the wrong person right now. Jimmy, what's going on, my friend? Jimmy said, if we go cheap deals, don't expect big results. I think that's part of the problem. We expect big results with a non-competitive team. And you're absolutely right, Jimmy. And this one of the things that unfortunately separates the fan mind from the, oh, I get it mind. The fan mind says, oh man, we picked up Mike Davis. Look what he did in this game. And the big game he had last year was against us. And we say, oh man, let's extrapolate that to the Falcons, and the Falcons are going to be great. No, that's not how it works. Wide receivers, we go out and get Tajay Sharp. Oh my goodness, Tajay Sharp. He made a couple of nice plays last year. He's going to be able to come right in here and ball out. Not exactly. When you think about it from an offensive standpoint, the only free agent that really showed out was Patterson. And you got to believe he's gone. You got to. Arlen says, "What are your thoughts on Calvin Ridley? I would be mad if we traded him." With the caveat that I'm still, and say what you want to say about me, I'm not a fan of throwing out theories about what's going on with him emotionally and mentally. So I know a lot of people, oh, he's faking, he's doing all this. I still don't know that. So I'm not going to speak on that end. But as far as professionally is concerned, I think it's time to move on. If he's going to have things that are problematic and not going to allow him to be on the team and be a healthy scratch for the year, no disrespect to him, but I think we need to get folks that want to be on the field and can be on the field. If you have problems like that and another team wants to take a chance on you, that's fine. And I think there'll be a robust um, field of teams that want to get him. Oh, I could think of a lot of teams that would love to have Calvin Ridley with their team right now. And maybe with those deals, he'll, all of a sudden come to life. I don't know. I don't want to take pot shots because I truly don't know what's wrong with him or what's going on. I don't have any inside information, so I don't want to speculate. But at the same time, if you ask me, I think my thoughts were if I had a team that was willing to line up either a number one or number two right now, I would have to entertain that. With the holes we have on our team, and quite honestly, with the salary problems that we're going to have this year, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to probably stock up as many picks as you can. But as far as Calvin's concerned, I think he's going to end up. I don't think he's going to end up being on this team this year, and I would hate that because the young man played good for us, played decent this year. But hopefully, whatever's going on in his life, he straightens that out first. That's where I would really. That's what I really wish for him. I wish nothing but the best. And judging by some of these teams on here, I mean, look, the Eagles. If the Eagles could get Calvin Ridley on the other side, oh my goodness, woo! Arlen says the teams I heard that are interested in Ridley are the Raiders, Washington football team, Philly, and Denver. Yeah, I forgot the Raiders lost Ruggs unexpectedly due to the horrific accident this year. Washington football team, somebody on the other side of McLaren would be pretty awesome. Philly, I just mentioned them. Denver would be kind of interesting. I don't know what their situation is with Cortland Sutton going forward. I don't know whether he's a free agent or not, but I know with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, you got a nice little young nucleus right there. And Calvin Ridley, let's put it this way: if he gets traded, that salary gets traded. So you're bringing $11 million of payroll onto that team. And I'm almost wondering with that particular team, where a team that you're not quite even sold on which quarterbacks will be there. Because Drew Lock, who played decent at the end, did he improve his stock enough to keep a roster spot? Teddy Bridgewater, who is somebody that, I'm glad he ended up coming back from his injury and was able to put up some okay years. But is he somebody that I want to continue to invest my future in? Teddy's not getting any younger. And there were a couple of times last year, Teddy looked he looked older than I know he really is. It's almost like that RG3 effect. There was a time when RG3 was the top guy, and then that injury put him back. Teddy Bridgewater looks like he's kind of going in that same direction. I hope not. But yeah, those teams are our teams. And look, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. Saints would actually be a good landing place for them too. especially not knowing what the Michael Thomas situation is. I'm not sure if Michael Thomas is going to end up coming back. They paid him a lot of money, and all the drama with the injury and should he stay out late? I mean, should he stay off? Should he stay on? I think a lot of that is kind of troublesome. I hope we can get a good running back this offseason. Yeah, there are a lot of running backs coming out this year. I was trying to get I was trying to pull up my little draft things right there. The top running back that they have rated coming out, which is very interesting because I'm looking at the ESPN draft rankings. They have Hutchinson and Thibodeau. No surprise, the defensive ends out of Michigan and Oregon. I would love to get them up here. Highest cornerback looks like it's Stingley Jr., somebody who's been talked about here with the Falcons. Wide receiver, Jamison Williams. Of course, he's going to have to heal. But I think you'll still see teams take a chance on him as well. Linebacker, Nakobe Dean, highest rated linebacker on the board. Would not hurt my feelings if they were going to get rid of, if they ended up getting rid of Foye or doing something with Dion's contract or something like that. That would be a nice pickup. But I was talking about running back, and I'm trying to see who's the first running back they have on this list. And going down here, is it Kenny Walker out of Michigan State? Unless I'm looking wrong. And that's way down the list. Which is really crazy. And Kenny Walker is pretty good. But I think we're gonna end up going the free agent route again with the running backs. And running backs for this team is gonna be, I think you'll get one or two running backs. I thought we would end up keeping a couple of our folks that we had on from the practice squad this year and give them a shot, especially when they weren't showing up a lot this year. But I don't know. We do need some running back. We kind of need everything. Be brutally honest. We need everything. This year is much different than last year when you start thinking about it. Now that we know some of the things that we may be able to accomplish with Kyle Pitts in place, now you got to start thinking about, okay, so what do we surround him with? We have to surround him with some wide receivers. Do you re-sign Gage? I mean, we got a lot of questions we need to answer. Matter of fact, while we're thinking about it, I was going to go back and look at the potential free agents this year for the Falcons, and I think we pulled this up once before with us, and I'm going to pull it up again and share it on the screen. See if I can pull that up there. But it's going to be tough sledding this year. Oh man, Arlen says this team is going to be put together with Gorilla Glue. Now, hey, what's the stuff? The duct tape? I mean, this team is going to be crazy. What we end up doing this year. All right, I'm pulling up let me get it a little bit so y'all can see. 1, 2, 3. There we go. All right. Share this screen with y'all so we can look together at take this off, take these things off there. There we go. I'll share the screen with y'all. Take these ads. Come on, ads. Come on. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to get these ads on here. All right. So the free agents they have right now for Atlanta, and I'm going with the unrestricted free agents. Dante Fowler just is the top of the list, and the only reason he's up there is because that's what they say his value was last year. We're the one that made that stupid signing. Matt Gano is going to be somebody that's interesting to see where they go with him. They paid him $3 million last year. I'm not sure if they're going to end up paying him again with that. Daryl Patterson lucked up and got him at $3 million. As we said before, his market value is about $9 million. Don't see where we bring him back. Lee Smith, who retired allegedly, $3 million. Hayden Hurst. Is Hayden Hurst somebody that we would take a chance on bringing back up in here? Hayden was the forgotten man after Kyle Pitts got in there. But, I mean, I'm trying to see, why did he lose his spot? Especially when Calvin went down. It seemed like we just would have been tight end heavy to me. I don't know. Eric Harris, expendable. AJ McCarron, expendable. You can get any backup quarterback. Plus, we're going to keep Felipe probably for cheap. Duron Harmon, if we can get him for $1.2 million, possibly. Isaiah Oliver, I would take a flyer on Isaiah Oliver as long as that salary isn't too much longer than that. He has to prove coming off the injury that he's ready to roll too. So Isaiah is somebody I would think about, again, not overpaying him. Josh Andrews, $1.1 million. Stephen Means, nope. Fabian, that's another one I'm probably like, we can move on from him. Thomas Morstead, we'll move on from him, but we appreciate him those last couple of weeks. He actually punted the ball well, but I don't think it's his intention to stay with the Falcons. He just came in probably did a favor to Terry Fontenot, if anything else. Brandon Copeland, nope. Jonathan Bullard, possibly. He did pretty good against the run, but his salary is going to have to be somewhere where it is right now. Tajay Sharp, same deal, expendable. I can get somebody else. Didn't even see Springs. Younghoe Koo. This is going to be an interesting one right here because Younghoe, this is the second year in a row he signed a 1-year contract, and Younghoe has done nothing but miss 2 kicks all season long. 2 kicks he's missed during a 17-game season. You need to consider that and hit some big ones too. One like cheap field goals. Hit some 50s this year. Gotta think what you're gonna do with Younghoe. Christian Blake, again, expendable to me. Jaden Graham, same thing. Josh Rosen, he's gone. Russell Gage, the $600,000 he made this year, you can probably have him for $2 million. I think he would deserve a little bit of an upgrade when you think about how he came in and filled in. Fourier is the big one where you got to circle around because Fourier is somebody that, boy, oh boy, you really would like to see if you can keep him. I don't think you franchise anybody, but if there was a nomination for somebody, it would be him. But I think that franchise would put him way above $10 million. And I just don't think we have $10 million players on our team. I just don't. Not at this stage. I don't think we have value-wise $10 million. That includes the quarterback. I just don't think we have those players. OZ. Do you sign OZ again? And do you bring him back? And Etheridge. So, those are things I just think about when I start saying, where do we go next? It's going to be interesting. Rusty says, "What's going on, Rusty? How you doing, brother?" So I'm not a Matt Ryan hater by any means. It ain't. But he must have something on this organization. This is literally his 3rd head coach. Third, yeah, I guess it is 3rd. Someone needs to do research and see what it is. See what is the most head coaches a quarterback has had in their career with the same organization at this rate. I wouldn't be surprised if Arthur Smith gets canned before we get rid of Ryan in 2045. I- How many coaches did Matt Stafford have when he was there? Matt Stafford actually, I don't think. Well, I know the guy who lost the 16 games. Then he had Jim Caldwell. A lot of people were ticked off at the Jim Caldwell thing. A lot of people wanted to keep him there. Camp, he never played with Campbell. Did he play with Campbell? No, he didn't play with Campbell. But I need to see Stafford played with a couple. Uh, yeah, that is an interesting question to see who played with multiple coaches. Those are the things. Those are the kind of questions, Rusty, that always, when people get upset. And I talked to this young lady yesterday. I can't remember what her name is. But God bless you if you're watching. If you happen to see this later on, she was asking me. She said, "Oh my goodness, all y'all do is talk Matt Ryan in the morning, Matt Ryan in the evening, Matt Ryan, Matt Ryan, Matt Ryan." And I was trying to explain to her, just like you try to explain to other folks, this is like the starting pitcher. This is your center for the hockey team. This is your point guard. And arguably, point guard doesn't necessarily mean the best player anymore on teams. But Matt Ryan is your face. You don't see Calvin Ridley on Tide commercials. You don't see Kyle Pitts on State Farm commercials. Matt Ryan is the quarterback. Whether the quarterback is the best player on the team or not, they get the most shine. Think about Cleveland. Cleveland, right off the bat, Baker is not even, I'm trying to think, is Baker the fifth best player on that team? I'm thinking Garrett, Landry. What's my offensive lineman name that everybody always talks about on the team? But even if those guys are better, the quarterback gets all the attention, the love and the hate. That's just how it is. It's nobody's fault. So you're gonna hear Matt Ryan. Whether people want to listen, that's fine. You can scroll. Keep scrolling. So when I come in here and I see posts about Matt Ryan all day and all night, that's because he's the quarterback. And guess what? When he leaves, you still gonna see posts about him because it'll be the comparison to Matt Ryan. But there is a pressure that we need to put on that position because it's the most important on your football team. I'm sorry. Aaron Donald is by far the best player on the LA Rams. But Matt Stafford's got to stir the drink. So those who tend to believe that, we overtalk Matt Ryan, it's also because Matt has been here so long. Think about when Big Ben leaves, Matt is the longest tenured player for one team in the NFL right now. Next year, he'll be going into his 15th season. And he will be the longest tenured player on the team. So you're going to talk about him. That's not unusual. That's the quarterback. Big Ben was not even close to being the best player on Pittsburgh. But he's the quarterback. The attention. Tua wasn't the best player on Miami. But he's the quarterback. Quarterbacks, no matter what. Shoot, when Gardner Minshew was playing for Jacksonville, nobody was talking about the other players. They were talking about Minshew. When Ryan Fitzpatrick was doing his magic in Tampa and then moved his magic to Miami and then was slated to be with the Washington football team, nobody was talking about Chase Young. I'm saying, I take that back. They were talking about him. But the talk is going to be about the quarterback. So that's why we have all that. Anthony, what's going on? Says, what's up, Steve? I'd love to have Hurst back, but we didn't use him the majority of the season until he came back off that injury. And I was just bringing that up, Anthony, because right now with your wide receiver situation, you just don't have anybody. And when you start talking about this draft coming up, is wide receiver somebody that you really want to get in those first 3 picks? I know I hear people saying, I've heard people, oh, Jameson Williams, blah, blah, blah. Do we really want to go get a wide receiver out of the first 3 picks? We need a wide receiver. Shoot, we need. I think, is there a position on this team other than kicker? And well, he's a free agent, so I guess we do need him. Is there another position other than kicker and one of the cornerbacks and tight end that we don't need? That we couldn't use an upgrade? Maybe that's what I should mean. That we couldn't use an upgrade. It's not. But it's no different than the other problems in other NFL teams have. But, Robert says, I feel like Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot need to turn over this roster. We have too many old players making big money. And that's the problem too, Robert. There are ramifications for just getting rid of folks. As many of you astute people were noticing, we were still paying old players. I'm trying to go to the Falcons and see, go to those players we were playing. Y'all know what I'm talking about, like the Desmond Trufants and folks like that. We're still paying folks the last couple of years. I'll pull that up next time. So you don't want to get into a position where you just get rid of people. We can't do that. If that was the case, don't you think the average person would have probably got rid of Matt Ryan last year if we had financial capabilities to do so? Do you actually think Arthur Smith came here and said, you know what? Matt Ryan, that's who I'll build my team around? I don't think so. That's me. Rusty says we need to sign Koo. He's the only reason we scored in a few games. Yeah. Think about the Philadelphia Eagle game I went to earlier this year. Oh, my God. Travis says nobody is worth the franchise tag. Let me make it clear. Didn't say he was worth it. I was just thinking of options because Foyer is somebody that I think if they let him, there's a 1 to 2 week period where teams can negotiate with their players before they throw them out there to the NFL and let everybody bid on them. It's the only reason I brought it up, Travis, is to say that might be the only way they can keep him. There's no way Foyer is going to come here and play back for the Falcons for less than $7 or $8 million. The way he has outplayed Deion Jones, whose contract is much bigger than him. He has outplayed Deion for the last 2 years. And if the Falcons don't play it, somebody will pay it. So all I was saying was as an option. I'm not saying we were, that was a 100%. Arlen says, do you think we should trade back? Not out of the top 15, though. If it comes available, I think my only issue with trading back, Arlen, is I don't want to get into where we're paying too many first round picks. Because even with the Calvin Ridley situation, while I throw out second round, remember, second round and below, you're not locked into some of that bonus money. You can still offer bonuses on second, third, fourth round, and sixth, but that bonus money is locked in that first round. Now, and some of the players, the advantage is you get that fifth year. If they ball out, you can kind of do some stuff with that. But I'm not sure if I want a lot of first round picks on here. I want some solid picks 1 through 4. First round through fourth round. That's my goal. First round talent in the second round happens all the time. Happens all the time. We just got to go get it. We just got to go get it. And put the scouting folks on blast. They gotta take care of us. Travis says, should we attack the offensive line or defensive line first? Travis, it's been mine. We get zero pressure on the quarterback. I say again, if there's anybody that can, we get zero pressure on the quarterback. When your team averages 1 sack a game in a 17-game season, that's a problem. And I don't want to hear that we play Tampa Bay with a great offensive line when I saw Philly cut through them cats like nobody's business. Tom Brady's happened to get them, but that Philly line wreaked havoc. And look at a lot of the teams that are left right now. Tampa and their line. Philly's gone, but their line. And say what you want about undisciplined Dallas, their line wreaked havoc. They just got to be disciplined. That's an undisciplined team they have there. You got to get pressure on the quarterback. Got to. And we can't get projects. We got to get folks that are their motor is running now. I kept looking at the guy from every good team has one. I was looking at Cincinnati and the guy who went from the Saints to Cincinnati, Hendrickson. Motor, man. Nothing but motor. New Orleans, Cam Jordan, motor. Even though they're not in playoffs. Philadelphia, guys with motors. LA Rams, enough said. Anybody, I'll shoot 3 or 4 of them on the line. Buffalo, guys that have a tendency to get to the quarterback. We've got to get that first. I'm not ignoring the fact that we have a Swiss cheese offensive line, especially on the left side a little bit. And center play wasn't immaculate either. I'm not ignoring that. I'm not trying to say we're going to arrive. The one thing I'll say about the offensive line, again, that last quarter of the season, we played much better running the ball later on in the season. No denying that. But I do think you got to get pressure on the quarterback, man. Josh Allen, doing a couple of those plays, danced back there in the pocket. Josh Allen wants to run. And he danced back there in that pocket against the Falcons, almost like, okay, I guess I'll run. Just too much. Shoot, we let Simeon from New Orleans run around there. Ridiculous. You can't do that. You can't do that. All right. Rusty says, Debo has been a huge disappointment. Can't believe he fell off the way he did. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that can be changed because I do like Dion, but I actually think he's somebody that you look at as far as a restructure is concerned. I think if they can restructure his contract and push some of his money down the line, at least he's still got a little youth on his side. Well, maybe you can push that last year back too. I would be fine with that. Twan, what's going on, brother? Said, I think we can give Fourier a 4-year, $30 million deal. I wouldn't mind that. That's that. Listen, if we can make that happen, that would be beautiful. I don't know who his agent is, so let's see how that works out. Twan also says, I think we definitely draft D-line first, then O-line, then draft D-line again. Gotta get somebody to when think about even the last regime. It's not like they didn't try. Vic Beasley, Rashid Hagelman, What's the guy we just got rid of? Sinat, Tack McKinley, um, who was supposed to be this wonderkin, John Kaminsky, paid money for Fowler to get in here. So it's not like they don't recognize the problem. It's just that we keep getting the wrong person. And maybe this particular team, and I'll tell you what, I like my man from Notre Dame, and I apologize. I don't want to mispronounce his name, but that cat looked like he has a little bit of motor. Maybe he just needs another year to kind of get himself together. I know he got injured a couple of times, but you gotta affect the quarterback. You gotta get off the field on third down. You must protect the quarterback. And as much as we keep talking, and I keep hearing this debate about mobile quarterback, whatever, and I've told people on several occasions, to me, it's not the mobile quarterback, it's the athletic quarterback that kills us. Shoot, Tom Brady is more athletic. Josh Allen, he's kind of a running quarterback, but more impressive that he can get out of that stuff. Patrick Mahomes, athletic quarterback. He doesn't want to run, but he can. Kyler Murray, who probably had one of the worst games that a rookie playoff quarterback, I should say, first time in the playoffs, had one of the worst games you could ever have. Athletic. That's those type of quarterbacks. You got to be able to put some pressure on them. You do. And if you don't, it's going to be a long day. So, man, let me pronounce your name right. Alarana. I hope that's it. My apologies if I said. Alarana says we need D-line pick first in the draft. Yes, I agree. D-line or edge rusher, one of the two. Somebody who's going to make an immediate difference. Big time. Lamar says worst D-line in Falcons ever fielded. Well, again, I'm not making excuses for him, Lamar. What choices did you have? And let's also keep this in mind, folks. Even if the Falcons had money to go out in free agency, what attracts a free agent here right now? As this roster is constructed right now, what would attract, aside of an overpaid contract, what would attract somebody to come to Atlanta? The folks that you got coming to Atlanta were all on prove-it contracts. When you talk about Patterson was on a prove-it contract. When folks want you and want you to stay, they give you 2 to 3 years. They don't give you 1-year contracts. So if I'm on the outside looking in and I'm talking to my agent and he tells me, he said, oh man, the Falcons want to sign you for 1 year, $4 billion. And dude is like, what? Why do I want to go to Atlanta? What's going to be in Atlanta? So, I don't know. Alarana says when you pick Tack over Watt, and there were a lot. Look, I don't want to. There were a lot of teams that picked over Watt, not just the Falcons. It'd be one thing if we picked Tack number 3 and Watt was number 4. That would be different. Watt got picked in the 20s. 20, was it 2018? I forgot what it was. But I know he got picked. Tack was, what was Tack? Y'all help me out. What number was he? But I know it was more than 16. So you got 16 other teams that didn't pick him either. It's not like everybody thought TJ Watt was going to be all of that. Alarana said you left with BS. You are. Tack was a bad pick, and we all fell for it. Remember the big grandma in his hand and doing all the cussing and all of that crap and all the high energy. We were pumping that up. Oh, he got all this energy. He's all this and all that. And he did have the one year where he gave us what, seven sacks, 8 sacks. But then, just like Big Beasley, that's where your scouting comes in. You got to figure these folks out. And since then, when he's bounced from Raiders to was it Cleveland or Cincinnati, where he is? But either way, yeah, you got to do better scouting. Lamar says, I think we'll go Gardner or Dean with first round, then D-line. I'll say this, Lamar, if Foye doesn't get re-signed or Dion is not in our plans, I could absolutely see Nakobe Dean being picked. I don't want to fall into the trap of looking at his size and saying he's not able to, because he's already shown that he's been able to with the big boys in the SEC. That concerns me slightly, but I do think he is somebody that I think would immediately step in as a leader on your defense if he comes in. So I agree with that. That's not a bad pick. But I also say if one of the guys happen to fall down into your lap, if Thibodeau happens to fall into your lap, or the cat from Texas A&M or somebody like that happens to fall into your lap, I think you got to think about it. There are some defensive ends in this draft that are coming out that are going to be pretty decent, if you ask me. But I wouldn't be mad if you got Nakobe Dean, though. Russell said 4 years, $30 million for Foye is less than what Debo is making. Foye ain't going for that. Well, it kind of depends. It depends. Got to match up the situations. We'll see. Travis says we have nothing to draw a free agent, unlike the Braves with Acuna or the Hawks with Trey. Very good point. And I was talking to somebody about the Hawks game. Got a chance to go to the Hawks game, Travis, the other day, where they were talking about the rumors of, oh, wow, what would Ben Simmons look like with Trae Young? 4 or 5 years ago, when we had the 60-win team with Millsap and Schroeder and Teague and all of those guys, Al Horford, as much success as you had, there was still nothing that draws you to that team. To your point, with the Hawks, think of how many guys would love to play with Trae Young, that would love to play with him on your team. That's when you start talking about people that, can absolutely bring more to your team. And I think in a very good example with Acuna with the Braves, even though you could argue Albies as well. Excuse me, a young roster with, the young pitching you got with Freed and Riley finally showed up this year. Yeah, you have some opportunities because you have people that folks want to play with. So, yeah, right now, the Falcons, I don't see people running to play with Matt Ryan right now. I don't see it. Matter of fact, if anything, if reports are true, allegedly, you see Ridley going the same way as Julio. Seems like folks are running away from the situation rather than coming here. So that's what you got to start thinking about. Lamar says Trey is that guy scorer who loves to pass is golden, and it is. I know before somebody said this is a Falcon group, but it's interesting the way they beat Milwaukee the other day. They finally started getting everybody involved. And once they got everybody involved, and Trey was doing that in the playoffs. He was involving folks. And then when he needed to, he came alive. Travis says, I would like to see us look at Trayvon Walker from UGA. He could be a late first round or early second round pick. Yeah, he's rated. Matter of fact, let me go back to that rating. For the ESPN player ratings, he's right outside the top 10. He's 14 right now. He's the fourth rated defensive end. And it just kind of depends on what everybody's needs are. Because I think you're going to see a big run on defensive linemen this year. Because people are realizing you got to put pressure. We can't put anybody who is a Falcon fan in the last 3 years is going to say, wow, we didn't put any pressure on anybody. Even the year 2017, which arguably the last 6-7 years was our best defense, 2017, we still did not put pressure on the quarterback. Right now, it's just like guys are going through the motions. I see guys trying moves. I see them doing the Reggie White thing on the line. I see them trying to bull rush and things like that. I just don't see us with those type of guys. We need those guys. We don't have them. We don't. Brother Dre, what's going on, man? Dre says, Steve, do you see the difference between when DPs had the defense, they had a hard time trying to adjust? I think, again, Dre, I know a lot of people don't like this and everything. Dean Pease was given, he was given special team players, free agents, guys who played mostly special teams, not starting, and he was given a lot of rookies this year. And the difference going into next year, you'll see the Dean Pease effect if it's valid. You'll see it next year because those guys have a whole offseason to not only condition, but to look at film to see what they did wrong. And when they come back and Dean Pease says, you see what I was saying? Oh, I see what y'all doing. That's when you're going to see the fact. I can't. I'm still not ready to poo-poo on Dean Pease quite yet. Let me see. Lamar says, I can't wait for the Senior Bowl. Last chance for those edge guys work. That's going to be pretty good to see the Senior Bowl out there. Kevin, what's going on, man? Say, do you think the 3-4 defense is outdated or we don't have the personnel? We don't have the personnel. Grady is too small. If you look at traditional 3-4 defenses, you got a monster in the middle. We don't have a monster in the middle. Got to have a space filler. Look at the big time lines, the big time 3-4 lines that you talk about in the past. They got a space filler in there at the tackle. We don't have that. And we, quite honestly, we don't have superior linebacker play as well. Though I like the upgrade of, I like the improvement of Michael Walker. I think we don't have the personnel to play that. And I know that's his forte, but unless they plan on getting big dude from Georgia, who would be a very intriguing person to fill up your defensive line, I think that would attract some things. I'm a little worried about Jordan. The only thing I worry about Jordan is would he be a 3-down player? And I know they don't have a lot of those these days, the way they substitute in packages, different packages going in and out. But yeah, if I have Jordan Davis and I have a 3-4 defense, things would get a little interesting. Definitely. And the way that dude moves. You see that cat move? Dude is crazy. Crazy. Rusty says, screenshot this, Steve. Allen Robinson will be a Falcon next year. Really? Dave Ragone was with him in Chicago, and he's a free agent. Is Allen Robinson gonna take that much of a pay cut? I'm not saying he wouldn't, but Allen Robinson is coming off a pretty big contract. I don't see him taking $3 million. But you're right. Maybe the connection with Dave Ragone with the Bears, maybe that's something. But or unless we're figuring that he made his big money. I got a feeling Robinson is looking for a nice payday. I don't think he's looking at, but he would be the man if he was here. So I will put that in memory there, Rusty. Definitely. Lamar says Dean Pease may be a media crybaby, but he found a way to get turnovers with a weak group. And that was something that I think I wasn't even aware of until they posted that late in the season when we had to run until the New Orleans game, where we had to run up like 11 straight games with a turnover. Look, anytime your defense are creating turnovers, look, that's a plus. Now, if you can combine the creating turnovers and put pass rush together, that would be fine. As much as I can't stand Dallas, which they are close to New Orleans as far as my hate is concerned, Dan Quinn, his only fault was those guys were undisciplined. Randy Gregory, 3 penalties, pre-snap penalties, screwing you over, stuff like that. But to be able to generate that pass rush, which I'm telling y'all, pass rush and getting the quarterback off his spots, create bad throws, which create Trayvon Diggs interceptions. If somebody could do that for us this year, AJ would have the INTs to match his talent. So we absolutely need to, do that. Dre said, Steve, do you think Dan Quinn threw? Did he throw the Dallas game? Why would he throw the Dallas game? Now, if anything, Dallas was the reason the defense was the reason they stayed in the game. I don't think he threw the game. I'll tell you who threw the game. Whoever called that stupid play at the end to run the ball with 14 seconds left. Or maybe Dak ran too far, which was also something that you got to think about. So I'm not, I don't think he blew the game. Not at all. That man's got a career. Look, he's getting interviews from teams. Dan Quinn about to be a head coach again, y'all. How about them apples? Alarana says we need to go back to the 4-3. That wouldn't hurt my feelings either. Lamar says Jordan Davis worries me. That man looks like he can eat. Maintaining discipline and conditioning could be a problem if it's completely up to him. So you mean the Zion Williamson syndrome, if that's what you're talking about. I must admit it concerns me too. In the NFL, as much as I was talking about earlier, they do the sub packages where you have to keep going in and going out. That concerns me because that's real. And I think Jordan can do it, but I do think, listen, in the NFL, I have more faith in the NFL conditioning than college conditioning. So if they invest a first round pick in Jordan Davis, somebody will explain to him and say, yeah, listen, we're not telling you to lose 50 pounds, but we just want to make sure from a sense of getting around that you're able to move like most NFL teams do. That's not that's understandable. Travis says, one thing the Falcons have failed to do is draft players from our state, whether they played at UGA and are from this state. Some of the top players in this league are from here: Tyreek Hill, Roquan Smith, Cam Hayward, etc. And Travis, that's a fair point. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, probably before you shot on about that. The problem is, I think when you start looking at the draft, I think everybody think, dude, it's 300 to 400 players that are looking to get drafted, and you can't go down the list and just say, oh, he played here, let me grab him because he's local. I know what he does. If I have somebody else that allegedly has more talent. Now, of course, Travis, speaking of the track record of the Atlanta Falcons, that particular scenario hasn't happened because the talent we picked, a lot of them haven't evolved into these great players. But yeah, you don't want to completely have your team as local favorites. And then a lot of times too, remember, the local guys that you have more distractions. If we picked up Justin Fields, and I don't know the band's background, I don't know anything about him, so I'm not casting dispersions or anything like that. But I also say that if he were here, who knows the distractions that would be around him? It would be more than the average person. His family would be here, his folks would be here. Um, you know, who knows? Entertainment might be a draw. I don't know. So while I get it, some of them, yeah, not everybody. Dre says head coach of Dallas, Dan Quinn, fried Mike. Fried Mike. I don't know what that means. Rusty says DQ success in Dallas doesn't surprise me. Look at his first 2 years in Atlanta; those young dudes bought into his system. That's if you remember, Rusty, and I know you've been around me for a while. When everybody was poo-pooing Dan Quinn as a head coach, as he should have those last couple of years, I told folks, I said, watch, Dan Quinn will have more success up there in Dallas running the defense than he did here. I told anybody who wanted to listen. That's what Dan Quinn does. And all of those cats, a lot of those cats were from the draft. There weren't a lot of holdovers on this Dallas defense. There wasn't a lot of them. There was a few. The defensive line. But a lot of those guys playing in the safety position, he brought in Neal and brought in KZ and drafted Diggs and brought folks in. Dude, DQ knows what he does with young folks. That's why I thought Florida would reach out to him for that Florida job. I thought he was going to be somebody for. I honestly thought he was somebody that was going to be up for that job when he got that. Lamar says, I remember Courtney Upshaw when drafted at linebacker by the Ravens. He made his way to the defensive tackle and landed in ATL. Listen, we had a couple of big guys, and I always mention big old Grady Jackson back when we had a little bit of the 3-4 going on back in the Mike Vick days when we had that rolling for about a year or two. And that, when you have that big guy, when you think about the Vita Veas, and even though they go back and forth from a 3-4 to 4-3, which most teams do, nobody strictly sticks with the same formation. That's their base formation, but a lot of people go back and forth about that. But yeah, you got to have a space here. You got to have it. That's why I say with Jordan Davis, physicality aside and conditioning aside, would be a monster in somebody's 3-4 defense, literally and figuratively. So that's always something that you look forward to. Look, y'all, unfortunately, I talked a long time, and brother got to go make some money. So I appreciate everyone coming in. Birdgang Brunch, doing our thing. Hopefully we get a chance to chop it up again later on in the week. I'm going to try to see if I can sneak on here either Friday or sometime this weekend before the playoff games start. Until then, y'all be safe out there. The little bit of precipitation they talking about for Friday, maybe. So if it happens to happen, y'all bundle up. Either way, it's supposed to be cold this weekend. So get your coats out and do what you need to do. Y'all have a great day, man. We'll holler at y'all later, closer to the weekend. Till then, peace.